How you doing, YouTube? Matt with Massive Beer Reviews. Not back with another review. Kind of just doing a little recap. Last night I did a little bottle share, and we drank a decent amount of beer. I figured I'd do like a recap thing of what we drank, and kind of just give my brief idea on what I thought about it. First things first, we had a bottle share at my place last night. First time I actually held a bottle share in my house. Like a legit one. I think it went awesome. Everybody had a great time. We had some really good beers. Reason why I held one, though, is we usually have kind of like a Christmas bottle share. A rather big one. A couple of us do. And we were going to do one because we got a sixtel of Bourbon County Stout. We're like, well, I mean, what are we going to do with a sixtel of Bourbon County Stout? That's way too much beer to really drink within even like a group of like 5, 6, 7, 8 people. That's a lot of Bourbon County Stout. I'm usually maxing out at one bottle. 12 ounces is about as much as I want. So got an idea of doing a larger bottle share. We've done them before, and kind of just do like a grander bottle share with about 20 to 30 people, and just keep it relatively easy and cheap. You know what I mean? Because the keg or sixtel costs like $225, and you throw like 20, 30 guys in the mix, you're looking at about $10 a man. So, well, unfortunately, that bottle share kind of went sideways and ended up becoming more of like a wedding reception kind of banquet thing that was catered and all this stuff. And then I wasn't running that part of it. And then when it came down to it, the person that was throwing it ended up being telling us that it was $27 a head, which is a bunch of malarkey in my book, because it ends up being like $17 for food, which I'm not a big food guy when it comes to a bottle share. I'm going to drink beer. Not that I don't eat. So anyway, a couple of splintered off from that larger bottle share and decided to do your own thing, which I aptly dubbed Beer Free or Die. I thought it was quite funny because to me, drinking beer is all about good people and good beer and just not about, I don't know, catered events or making a buck. Anyway, this is what we drank last night. I'll go over each one of them. And tell you, well, I'll go over each one in order. I have it in order and what we actually drank it in. And I'll break it down to like which ones that I thought were the best, and I give it like a ranking. And as far as who was at the bottle share, if anybody out there in the review world watches reviews, they might know Joe from NEPA Beer Reviews. He was there with his girlfriend Amanda. A friend of mine, Ryan, brewphoto.com. He's a photographer, takes a lot of pictures of good beer. He was there. My friend Chuck and his brother and his friend and a couple other people, but nobody you really know, so we'll skip over that. Anyway, what we did was, let's see. First off, we did Amsterdam's Brewing's Tempest. Actually, no, flip that. We did the Xocoveza first, from Stone, or I would call it more Chris Bankerts. They're like every year Stone has their homebrew contest. He won it this year. It's a chili milk stout. It was really good. We started off with that, and then we moved on to Amsterdam Brewing's Tempest. This is like Imperial stout, quite nice. Moved on to Kane. It's their 30th anniversary Solera method Belgian dark Belgian quad mixture. They're 1,095 on the Hanger 24's barrel. Did another Canadian beer. Well, you'll see a couple Canadian not rarities, but Canadian stuff. My friend Joe from NA Beer Reviews is going to Niagara College for brewing, so he brought Flying Monkeys, Chocolate Manifesto. Then we went to a Bourbon County Coffee Stout, 08 Angel Share from Lost Abbey. Mr. Castries Vilnius Baltic Porter, which is a barrel-aged Baltic Porter from Bell's. My friend Chuck got a new job about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and he went on training. They flew him from this area, northeastern Pennsylvania, or Philadelphia he's in now, to Michigan after training, and he landed the day of Kalamazoo Beer Week, and training was over the day after it ended. So he came back with quite a few nice rarities, and he brought some up for us to try. We had that Oast House Brett Saison. It's just their Saison brewed with Brett. One of my personal favorites is Gouden Carlous's Emperor Blue, or the Cuvee de Blauw. It's Emperor Blue, just Belgian. I would classify it as quad. Some people say strong dark. I'm a big fan. An older bottle, there's no date on it, but it's older, of the Third Coast from Bell's. It's like, it's supposed to be an English old ale. It's more like a really hop-forward English old ale. Mill Street's Barleywine. I've been told from Chad from Albino Rhino that this is supposedly a bad batch. They kind of pulled this, or are supposed to pull it. Doesn't taste bad. It's a little bit on the weak side, but doesn't taste bad. D. Brabanier, which is basically just Petrus, is 1894. They sell it as a Belgian golden style ale that's hopped and oaked. It's just tastes like an oaked Saison. Then we have this Blue Mountain Bluegrass Brewing's Bourbon Barrel Stout. We did. What do we got over here? Ooh, Batch 9000 from Bell's. We'll talk about that a bit later. Another Canadian brew, Nickelbrook's Kentucky Bastard. JW's Harvest Ale 2008. The Mikkeller Fressler, which is, they call it a triple bock. It's a doppelbock. Pêche Mortelle from Dieu du Ciel, and capped it off with a Thomas Hardy 08. Actually, 2 of them. So yeah, that's what we drank. So there's really 6 of us drinking. So there's about 400 ounces of beer here that we split between essentially 6 people. And they average out right around 11% if you were to add them all up, ABV-wise. So it was quite the festive night. Had a blast, actually. You know what I mean? So rating-wise, and just talk about it a little bit. Like I said, just kind of cover what went on. I'm going to go from, let's see, I got stuff written down because I can't remember stuff. Kind of go from worst to best. There wasn't many worsts, to be perfectly honest with you. But let's see here. Okay, worst up would be Bluegrass Brewing. This is it says a Bourbon Barrel Stout. It is either on the cusp of turning or just a really forgettable, mediocre beer. Wasn't a big fan. Probably the only bad beer at the tasting. It was just something one of our friends got from somebody that threw it to him for free. So we were like, let's give it a whirl, and it just really just kind of no good. So I'll throw that one off to the side. Second up was the Bell's Third Coast Ale. It wasn't a bad beer. It was actually nice. As I mentioned earlier, it was more like I would say an English old ale that was really hop forward. It did have a couple years on it. Can't find a date on it, but I know it's quite a bit older, so that hop was dialed back a bit. But it was nice beer. It's just that we had so many good beers that, you put them in order. I'm going to put that in there. So I would rank that sucker as number 19 out of 20. 20 total beers. 18 was the Brabanier 1894. It was just a little bit weird. It even says on this little fancy tag here, it's oak and hops. It's I guess supposed to be a Belgian golden ale that's been oak aged with extra hops. It really just, the hops weren't that present for me. It could be a bit older, and that could be why. And it was just, it had, kind of, the oakiness is a little bit wonky, and it was a Saison, which Saisons are alright, but, they really don't do it for me. So personally, that would come in number 18. 17 was Mill Street Barleywine. Again, like I said, not a bad beer. As I said before, been told that this kind of is bad, or was pulled by Mill Street because there's something a bit wrong with it. Wasn't a bad beer whatsoever. It was just a little bit weird, you know what I mean? But in a kind of good way. So I don't think it was bad at all. What do we got next? We then have, at number 16, was the Amsterdam Imperial Stout. This is a really nice beer. I'm a fan of it. Again, like I said, there's just so much good beer here that it just had to go somewhere, and then ended up going at 16 just because it was, beaten out by a lot of really good stuff. Let's see, the Mikkeller Doppelbock. It was really nice. It was a little uninspiring as far as Doppelbocks go. It's kind of a stretch if you're going to call it a Doppelbock, but all in all, I thought it was a nice beer. Pour a little bit of that Mill Street in there. I have this tiny little glass of what's left over of all the beers, just kind of blending them together to see what happens. I forgot to throw some of that in there. Anyway, it was a nice beer. Just a little uninspiring. Not too much to it. Let's see. This Bell's a Baltic porter aged in rum barrels. Mr. Castries Vilnius Baltic Porter, malt beverage aged in oak rum barrels. It's definitely a Baltic Porter, and it's just that rum. When I get stuff, I like rum barreled stuff, you know, like Rumkin, and there's a couple other beers off the top of my head, I can't think of them, that are rum barreled stuff that I like. This kind of had like a weird rum to it, almost like a bad oakiness, like a bad oak tanniness, and it had like a rum bite to it. I mean, rum, I'm not a huge rum fan in general, but when I expect to taste rum, I expect to taste like a rich sweetness, almost like a butteriness, which sounds kind of disgusting, but this almost had that bite finish that you would get from a rum with just a kind of odd oakiness. It was still a nice beer, but it was just kind of weird when it comes to how that one finished for me. Let's see. Number 13 was Oast House Brett Saison. I'm going to tell you right now, as I said previously, not a huge Saison guy. It's not my favorite style of beer. This is the best Saison I've ever had. For me. Actually, I shouldn't say that. There's probably some ones I had when I first started drinking many years ago. Might beat it, but I don't remember them. So right now, this is the leader in the clubhouse. I've had their regular Saison. It was really nice, really refreshing. I think the addition of Brett in this one kind of put it over the top. It doesn't have Brett in spades. It's not huge, earthy, or whatever you'd expect your typical flavors when it comes to like a Brett-based beer. But it was really nice. And it was kind of in that we were hitting off some pretty deep, dark stuff, and this was a nice change of pace. So it kind of either struck me at the right time, or is just a pretty nice beer. I was a big fan of it, so kudos to you, Oast. Let's see. Next up, we have the Xocoveza from Stone, or it should be Chris Banker, the person, the home brewer that brewed it. I'm a big fan of that beer in general. It's a ale brewed with cocoa, coffee, peppers, vanilla, cinnamon, and nutmeg. It's a Mocha Stout. It's chilled chocolate cocoa stout. And it's exactly what it tastes like, and it's super cool. I've reviewed it in my channel. You can search for it if you want to see a little bit more of an in-depth review. But it's just a beautiful powdery cocoa milk stout. It has this chilly heat to it that rises to a certain point and never gets past a point. It never burns, never gets uncomfortable. It's really cool. It's a cool experience in that it rises and you think it's kind of get to the point where it's too spicy, but then it just drops off and kind of fades down. It's a really good beer. Let's see, number 11 sitting right out of the top 10 is Hangar 24's Barrel Roll, which is a Barleywine aged in rye and bourbon barrels. Really nice beer. Super excited to give it a whirl because I never had it before. Never had anything from Hangar 24. It was a really nice beer. It was sandwiched between two excellent beers, I believe, if I were to go back on my list, which might have skewed my review of it. Not review, or my thought process on it a little bit. Might have been a little bit higher, but it was a really nice beer. I enjoyed it immensely. So top 10, we're going to go Pêche Mortelle. I've had it before. I've reviewed it. You could look up the reviews. It's the quintessential coffee stout. It's just fantastic. I know some people don't like coffee stouts, and some people just whatever. I'm just saying right now, probably my favorite coffee stout of every coffee stout I've ever had. Let's see. Next up, Lost Abbey's Angel Share. Huge fan of Angel Share. Don't think I reviewed it. Actually, that's not true. I know I reviewed it. But I think it's in my drunk folder where I have a bunch of reviews that I'm way too drunk and I just haven't posted them. So, super big fan of it. Was really excited to give this a whirl since it is an 08, so you're talking about a 6-year-old beer. It was a bit oxidized. It wasn't bad, but it did kind of have that kind of, little bit of funk to it, oxidation funk. So anybody out there with aged Angel Shares, I would suggest drinking them. That's the kind of thing a lot of people ask me because I'm big into aged beers. A lot of people ask me, what should you age? I'm not a huge fan of aging barrel-aged beers. I'm a huge fan of aging just regular beers, bottle-conditioned beers, non-barrel aged beers. That barrel aging can introduce certain things in it that I don't think are too whatever the words. It doesn't promote good aging, good cellaring. So a lot of your barrel aged stuff, a lot of your Solera method stuff like that, You can age it for a year or two, but I'm a big proponent of drinking those sooner rather than later. You know, something like this, like a Pêche Mortelle that isn't barrel aged, it's just kind of, you know, just bottle conditioned if at all. These are the beers you want to age. Just a little tidbit. So you have those two. Number 8, Bourbon County Coffee Stout. It's delicious. You know, what am I going to say? It's not good. It's a great beer, you know. But the nose was a little bit odd for me. It was very dry, like super dry nose, a little bit of coffee. The taste is fantastic, so you're not going to knock it for any of that. It's just all these other beers were better for me. So a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, you're going to put the coffee stout at number 8?" And be like, "Yeah, I'm going to," just because that's where it landed for me. Number 7, like I said, one of my favorites of all time, the Gouden Carlous Cuvee de Keizer Blauw, their Emperor Blue, which is a Belgian quad of epic proportions for me. It is, it's 2011 version too. It is the quintessential Belgian quad. I know some people call it a dark. For me, it's what a quad should be. Gouden, Carlous, their whole line I'm a big fan of. This does have a little bit less anise in it than most Gouden heavier, creamier quads, and their seasonal offering, their Noël and Easter are very anise licorice forward. This has it, but it's not as prevalent, which kind of puts it over the top for me because I'm not a huge anise guy with my beers, but big fan. Number 6 was Nickel Brooks Kentucky Bastard. Fantastic beer. Had it for the first time about 2 weeks ago. Again, my buddy Joe, NEPA Beer Reviews on YouTube, brought this back from Canada. Blew us away. Absolutely fantastic beer. We reviewed it. It's not up on his channel yet, but keep an eye out for it. It's just absolutely fantastic beer. The only reason why it's at 6 is just because all these other beers are freaking... They're all... At this point, we're looking at amazing beers, and it's kind of hard to pick and choose what's the best, but... Hey, I'm doing a ranking thing here, so you got to pick what's best. 5, Kane. Kane's 1095. It's this, like I said earlier, a Solera method of I think it's a Belgian dark and 2 Belgian quads. That each one of them are barrel aged. One of the most amazing mouthfeels I've ever had in my life, and just taste out the wazoo. Absolutely fantastic beer. I can't say enough about it. It's just amazing in all its glory. I reviewed it before. If you want to see a more in-depth review, you can search my reviews, but absolutely fantastic beer. Let's see, what else? What do we got next? J.W. Lee's Harvest Ale 2008. You can get an idea of it. It's got this nice hazy, cloudy funk attached to it, right up to where the beer level was. To me, that's how I look for aged beer. Tilt to the side. If I see a nice funk ring, it's good. And if they have it in spades, J.W. Lee's does. If anybody's had any J.W. Lee's, you know how good they are. They have an odd kind of aftertaste or finish to it, but it's an acquired taste, and I'm a big fan of it, especially older ones, aged ones. One of the best ageable beers. And I've done my top 3 ageable beers, and that's one is North Coast Old Stock. Number 2 is J.W. Lee's. Age is absolutely fantastic, and my first one we might touch on today. How about that? Next up, we have Flying Monkey's Chocolate Manifesto. Absolutely fantastic beer. This beer is absolutely ridiculously delicious. Never heard of it before. The funny thing is, when I went over for your review session, Joe from NEP Beer Reviews brought this down from Canada. I just said he's going to school up in Canada for brewing. He brought this down when we were at his house doing the reviews. He's like, I got a beer, a label for you to check out, because he knows I'm big on labels. And he shows me this, knowing sarcastically that he's like, it's great. I look at it, I hate it. I'm like, this is the worst label ever. It's just very obnoxious looking, just letters everywhere and whatever. And he's like, yeah, I knew you'd hate this label. It's like the worst thing ever. And even says somewhere on the label about how you shouldn't judge beer by its labels, which, I mean, I do. I like my labels, but at the same time, I always say, judge a book by what's in the bottle, not outside. But more often than not, good beer comes with good labeling. Because if you're going to put the time and effort in a beer, you're usually going to put time and effort in anything, you know what I mean? So anyway, kind of make a joke about it. So he brought it, and sure as shit, it's absolutely fantastic. It is that chocolate-covered liqueur cordial cherry thing you used to get out of the candy box that your grandma used to have. It is that times 1,000. Absolutely fantastic. A cherry chocolate bomb of a chocolate milk stout. If you can get this, you need to get it. By far one of my favorite beers I've had this year. So yeah, if you see it, pick it up. I'm going to get more. It's just that friggin' good. 2, Bell's Batch 9000. Great beer. Great beer. Absolutely fantastic beer. These two are very similar in taste when it comes to barrel aging. They're very similar as far as like mouthfeel and barrel age characteristics. They're obviously different beers. You got Belgian dark, you can go on an Imperial Stout. Very close as far as barrel aging characteristics. An absolutely delicious beer too. Very similar to this. This just had it just a notch more in barrel aging. That barrel aging character was just there, and it just kind of put it over the top for me and got it above those two. Just absolutely fantastic beer. Super duper limited. Again, my buddy Chuck, who went to Kalamazoo Beer Week, this is one of the bottles he brought down. It's absolutely fantastic. I think it says here, it says bottle 179 of 1,500. You know what I mean? So, of the specific batch, I don't know how many they actually produce, but if you see this, obviously you should grab it, because if you're into beer, you probably know about it. But amazing beer. Absolutely amazing beer. And the only reason it's not number 1 is Thomas. If you watch any of my reviews, you'll know I think Thomas Hardy is the best beer in the history of mankind. Because it is. There's an English old ale. Hasn't been made in many, many years. Hasn't been made since 2008, which is this year's. And it's just absolutely fantastic beer. Just to me, the best beer on earth. It goes without saying, if you ever find any, you should pick some up and give it a whirl. But it also falls at number 1 of my ageable beers. I touched on earlier, talking about how Old Stock, which we didn't do last night, is really fantastically ageable, as is J.W. Lee's, which kind of brought the subject up. Thomas Hardy's leader in the pack of that. Their beers are so fantastically ageable, it's not even funny. This is a 2008. Not too old, but not too young. If you go on Joe's review channel, NEPA Beer Reviews, you can see me, him, and lovely Amanda do a side-by-side of 05 and 04 Hardy. But if you really want to see how this beer ages, I urge you to go over Terry from Beer Goggles Reviews. Just reviewed last week. He reviewed a 1974 Thomas Hardy, and just go there just to see him drink that beer. I mean, with that age, for it to still keep and be beautiful is really, to me, what beer is all about. So I urge you to go over there, check out that review from Terry, and check out the review me, Joe, and Amanda did on his thing, and just understand that this, for me, everybody has different tastes, but for me, Thomas Hardy Ale is the king of all kings when it comes to beers. So yeah, that's your lineup. 10-1. And these are your 20 to 11s. Everything here is absolutely stellar. Fantastic. Passport Mortel, Angel Share, Bourbon County Coffee, Keizer Blue from Gouden, Kentucky Bastard, 1095 from Kane, J.W. Lee's 08, Chocolate Manifesto for Flying Monkeys, Batch 9000 from Bell's, and the Thomas Hardy Ale. So, yeah, just a fantastic night. Bottle shares, to me, are where it's at when it comes to beer. Not only do you get to taste an array of different kind of beers that you probably would never get a chance to have, but it's such a good time, especially if you're in a group of great people talking about beer, everybody sharing. The whole vibe of it is one of the best things going in a beer community. So if you don't frequent them or you've never been to one, I urge you to search them out. It's, like I said, probably the best time you could possibly have drinking beer. And, you know, I don't think it's just me who thinks that. So, yeah, like I said, if you could get to one, get to one. And I also say, if you can find any of these beers anywhere and you like good beer, pick them up. You won't be going wrong with any of them. They're absolutely fantastic. So, yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed listening to me wax poetic about all the awesome beer I had last night. Just figured I'd do a nice little recap. Show everybody what I was up to on my random Sunday between Christmas and New Year's. And, yeah. So, hopefully you guys are enjoying some great beers like these. If you'd like to check us out anywhere else on the internet, You can on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Massive Beers in all three of those places. If you have any questions about any of these beers or anything like that, or how to do a bottle share or any of that stuff, please leave a comment in the comment section below or direct message me. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully you drink great beers like these, and hopefully see you next time. Cheers.